We are back, and not only are we back with a new episode of the A-Game, but so are App State Athletics. As many of you know, Hurricane Helene devastated the high country, and with that, many sports had to be put on hold. Each Mountaineer team helped out in the community to get people back on their feet. Thanks to their help, alongside many other organizations and volunteers, sports were able to return to Boone. Here on the A-Game, we hope to highlight some of these efforts as well as their performance on the field. I'm your host, Grace Ellen Callahan. App State football is back at the Rock after over a month. What is to come from this, and where is the team heading? Let's hear from Appalachian Weekly News reporter Emma Ficker, who has more.
37 days. That's how many days it's been since App State football played a home game. But today, the Mountaineers are back in action here at the Rock. After impacts of Hurricane Helene that led to game cancellation, fans feel good about being back at home.
It's a good thing to get the community back together and the team back on the field and the fans here. There's still a lot to do here in the community, but I think this is a good day for us.
I'm so excited. It's been emotional seeing some of the damage that's still left and the trash and cleanup and FEMA, just everything. But it's exciting to see everybody that's pulling together and the support that the community is giving one another.
In front of a crowd of over 33,000, the Mountaineers made their way back onto their home turf. The Mountaineers came back to the high country today, and they also came back with the win, defeating Sunbelt opponent Georgia State with a score of 33-26.
We've been playing something for bigger than ourselves the last few weeks, and winning's living, and that's when you're in this profession, you're judged on wins and losses, and winning is living. But again, I mentioned earlier, just like our community has bowed their tails off for the last 4 weeks to get kind of some normalcy in their lives, our program's doing the same thing, and our community is behind us 100%, and we're behind our community 100%. It's still going to be a long haul for our community, and we're going to be every step of the way. But just very proud of everyone involved in the program. I hope today's win gave everyone in Western North Carolina, Watauga County, just something to be proud of. Take their mind away from things and enjoy a great day of college football.
App State returns to the Rock on November 2nd as they face the ODU Monarchs.
Now that the Mountaineers have their first win in conference play, fans look to the future as the team hunts for a bowl game appearance. We have two experts to discuss App State football today. David Katzenmeyer, back for this episode, now this time as an analyst. David is the sports director at 90.5 WASU and play-by-play host for App State football. And J.D. Rogers, an aspiring broadcaster who also has experience commentating games for WASU with appearances on Sports Wrap and host of Fantasy Friday. All right, y'all, you saw Emma's package. The Mountaineers were able to bounce back with a win against Georgia State after a rough stretch on the road. We will get more into the game in a second, but first, can you guys talk about what this means for the community?
I think it's huge for the community. To have football back in Boone means that we have people back in Boone. And so local businesses are able to really have some of their best days that they've had since Hurricane Helene. It thrives the local economy and it brings people together. It's a sense of normalcy that we can finally get back to, and it's just been amazing for the community.
Yeah, we had 35,000 people in attendance for that game, and to have that influx of people here, it really helps the community out a lot, and it really does a lot for these small businesses. And we also had the concert of Carolina, or the Carolina concert for relief here up in the mountains right after that, which is why we moved the game up to 1, and I believe a lot of people went to that, and all the proceeds went up here, and that was fantastic.
That's just so exciting to hear, and we love seeing money and just efforts going back to our community.
It's huge for the community to have football back in the high country, to have App State playing at the Rock again. Not only does it bring the amazing environments back to Boone, but it supports so much of our local economy. Many businesses haven't been able to perform to the numbers where they wish they would have, because October's peak week. This is some of the biggest time for tourism, and to have football back and have that regular business on Saturday booming again is huge for this community. The App State football team also did their part. They were volunteering a ton while we were away because of the hurricane. They were volunteering with Samaritan's Purse, loading a bunch of supplies on helicopters and helping wherever help was needed. So their contributions, everything's just amazing for the community.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, peak season is a big time for the high country. All the trees are changing, and we get a lot of people up here. The 35,000 people that came up here for the game packed the stadium out. That helps up here a lot. And I know that concert for Carolinas happened on Saturday night after the game, and we moved the time up to 1 o'clock so people could get down to that. They donated all the profits to that, and it was a really good Saturday for the high country.
Yes, amazing energy in the area, and also capped off with an App State win at home, their first win in conference play. JD, talk about something that went well for App going against Georgia State.
You know, after a 3-game streak in that little time where we had off here at school from the hurricane, we lost those games. But we were back in the Rock, and we won. And it was a great thing to see. Our defense was looking a little better than it usually does. We allowed no points in the first quarter, which was very nice, and they scored 25 for the rest of the game. But our defense came up with a big stop at the end of the game after we turned the ball over, and that was really good to see because we haven't seen that a lot from our team. From the offensive side of things, Joey Aguilar looked phenomenal. He threw a pick at the end of the game, but it didn't count, pass interference, so we had no turnovers, 299 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was looking like the Joey from last year, and it was really good to see that. And good to see the offense be able to get the game going on the ground a little bit too. Amani Marshall, excuse me, he rushed for 115 yards and a touchdown, and that was really good to see. He also got the block punt at the beginning of the game that caused a safety, and it was great to see that.
Yes, a lot of good things going on, but also maybe some things to improve on. David, what are your thoughts on where we can improve?
The biggest thing you look at to start would be the defense. We got a W in this game, and it's great to say that, but when you look in the stat book, almost 200 rushing yards allowed. The team on the year is giving up close to 415, 420 yards per game. And so that's the first place that I look at. I also look at the turnover differential for this offense, as well as this defense playing a contributing factor in that. It currently sits at -11. Amani Marshall, although he had an amazing day, he did have a fumble late down the stretch that almost cost us the game. So I'm looking to the future to see better ball security, as well as this defense tighten up with the run game.
Now, we're going to be transitioning from one football to what the rest of the world calls football. We're talking about App State soccer right here on the A Game when we come back.
Let's go!
To a place where you can grow.
A place to be heard.
And take a closer look.
A place where you can crush it.
And push yourself.
A place to find your voice.
This place rocks. And rolls.
A place where you can get out.
Wow!
A place you'll never forget.
So where is this place? Let me show you.
Welcome to Boone, North Carolina. Located along the Blue Ridge Parkway, nestled in the Appalachian Mountains, there is no place like it. Take a stroll down charming King Street, where you are sure to see a familiar face welcoming you. In the summer, go tubing down the New River, where the water runs almost as deep as our Mountaineer pride. When the leaves change in the fall, pack a picnic and head to Thunder Hill Overlook, where the skyline is so vibrant you can't help but send a picture to all of your family and friends. In the winter, check out one of our nearby ski resorts, where Yosef might just challenge you to a race down the slopes. And year-round, you can take in some of the most breathtaking views wherever you turn. As soon as you arrive in Boone, you'll realize there is something special in these mountains. Welcome home, and welcome to the Valley.
The first home game back in the high country after Hurricane Helene was actually not football. It was in the Valley with App State soccer. But before the game was ever played, rival Coastal Carolina made a caring trip to Watauga High School to help those in need. Ella Snap has more.
Even though we are rivals, it's really important that we give back to other schools and show our support in any way that we can.
They've come up here and they're offering their support and their help, their donations, their time. It says a lot about Coastal itself. We may pick on each other quite a bit, but at the end of the day, we're together in this.
We're part of the Sun Belt here. What can we do to help each other? Everyone helps each other in this league, and we would love to be able to help you guys.
People from all across our state and region are really coming together. So while we definitely do have a rivalry with Coastal, the really exceptional part and piece of that is the coaches and staff just being willing to step up and support their rivals in our mountain community here in Watauga and at App.
It's really important to us to extend, our resources to people that are in our conference.
It's hard seeing a rival come up here and not be able to heckle them, but they're part of our Carolina family.
After stopping at Watauga High School, Coastal Carolina came here to the Valley. But for the App State soccer team, this was more than just a game.
Yeah, perspective is crazy. It seems almost crazy that we're up here to play a soccer game. That's the least important thing right now.
We've been itching to be back here. Haven't played here at home in 35 days. Felt really good to be back on our home turf.
I think we're just really excited to put on a good game for everybody. Hopefully provide a game that brings some energy and excitement back to the school and the surrounding area.
Now I'm glad that the student athletes at App are able to get some normality, able to play a home game here. I know that that's going to bring a lot of comfort to them and to the community, and that's really important in this time that they're experiencing. The humility and the people here that are helping each other is, it's incredible. It brings a whole kind of new positive light to an incredibly damaging situation.
We first learned in COVID, and now we've learned in this, we can't take any opportunity to play at all for granted, and certainly to play on our home field, so it means a lot to be back here.
It's so great to see a historic opponent come to Boone after so much loss and help propel the community forward. Now, to complement this, we've got two experts up to the pitch. So let's welcome to the field Will Battershell, an avid racing fan and host of Turning Laps on 90.5 WASU, and Kara Daniel, also a racing fanatic, as well as a field reporter for AWN. Now guys, I want to talk to you. Coastal Carolina came up here, a well-known rival for App State. What does this mean for relief aid to the high country, especially to see a rival coming up and bringing so much good to the area?
Yeah, I think it says a whole lot about the Carolina community and the Watauga Strong. It really just kind of proves that any efforts towards this is a positive one.
And I feel like with the Sun Belt, everybody's each other's rivals, but deep down, we all care about each other, no matter how much our hatred for sports runs against each other.
Absolutely, and I think something to add on to that is just the fact that, you're rivals to the end of the day, but also you need each other to play sports, and you both love for the competition, and it's just, there's so much more behind the game when it is such a historic rivalry like Coastal. The App State women's soccer regular season has come to an end. Going into the Sun Belt tournament, how do we feel about their chances to win the whole thing?
We're optimistic. Two teams that really scare me right now are Texas State, who we just recently played, and JMU, both powerhouses of the Sun Belt recently. And if we can get past them, I really like our chances.
Yeah, I think our loss to Texas State kind of threw us off, but our chances are still really high, and I think our girls' confidence and offensive drive is just going to really push us through.
And we lost that Texas State game on a silly mistake with 10 minutes left. So deep down, if we can get the offense going late, I really think that game could have been won.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really like kind of what you're talking about there. What players specifically do you think stood out specifically in that game, but also are going to be crucial for this upcoming tournament play?
I think three key contributors for us is our goalkeeper, Sarah Womack. She has been a key piece for us to keep these games close to where the offense is able to get that lead. And then talking about offense, our two starting forwards, Izzy Wood and Ellie Garrison, are bread and butter of this team, and we need them to be able to succeed.
Yeah, I think Sarah Womack is absolutely incredible. Even though we did lose to Texas State, she still had 6 saves in that game.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy.
Absolutely. And also, you guys talked about an error. there's a lot more than just on the goalkeeper's fault when it comes to an error. That defensive line does a lot in helping a goalkeeper read the field.
Yeah, and talking about Ellie Garrison, App State needs to do everything in their power this offseason to make sure she does not enter that transfer portal. Because with Izzy Wood leaving as a graduate, she will become the key piece of this team.
Oh yeah, and I think the on-field chemistry between her and Izzy, that's going to fall apart once they leave.
Absolutely.
And I'm not looking forward to that, Will.
Yeah, and I think something that you guys talk about some concerns. What are some teams we need to be looking out for as the tournament comes close?
South Alabama from the West, for sure, because they've won it the last 2 years in a row. And then for the East side, which we'll be competing in, is JMU. It feels like as of late, JMU has been our rival in every single sport, and it's just continuing over to soccer. They're 8-1 or 8-0-1 in conference play, and that will be the team to beat.
Yeah, I think JMU is definitely our number one that we got to look out for. Everything that you said is spot on, but I think our presence on the field and the girls' confidence could overcome that.
Absolutely, and we saw that with Texas State. We were getting everything together. It's just that one little defensive mistake is what really costed us the game.
Elaborating on that defensive mistake, we're going into the conference, or the tournament, We're going into the tournament. You've got to play perfect. It's you lose, you go home. There's no room for error. What are some weaknesses that this App State team really needs to tighten up ahead of time?
Our defense on our side of the ball or our half of the pitch is really what we've been struggling with lately. That's where Coastal scored their points. That's where Texas State scored its point. So I feel like that's the big area that we need to step it up.
Yeah, it's honestly just tightening up on the little things that we do and really keeping an eye on the other team's offense because we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm. And then our offense coming out of the second half is usually a little weaker than it should be, so I'd like to see that worked on a little more. But overall, the offense has been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any players that are sticking out to you other than Sarah Womack and our duo forwards up at the front? Who's someone maybe on defense or maybe in the mid-range, in the midfield, that you're kind of looking at?
On defense, it's really Mumugi Sasola. I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly, especially with the injury to Skylar Walk tearing her ACL, and now she is the leader of that defense, being the sole graduate student on it with 2 freshmen.
Yeah, I think not forgetting about Sydney Snowden and Hayden Petrick, super important. Those are 2 freshmen, and they're absolutely killing it right now on the defensive line. I'm super impressed, but they're not getting enough attention as it is.
And I think it's important for them to step up with that Skylar Walk injury because now they're playing the key defender on the left side of the field with Mumu on the right side. So it's going to be really necessary that they play up to as best as they can as freshmen.
Absolutely. And I think definitely we're going to have to see our leaders and, your seniors and your graduate students really stepping up and filling in that role just to sort of help out those freshman defenders going into tournament play. Now that the App State soccer season is winding down, basketball is heating up. With games right around the corner, we'll be looking ahead right here on the A Game when we get back. App State basketball is back. While Dustin Kearns is looking to continue his undefeated record at the Holmes Convocation Center, we're looking at a change in the coaching position on the women's side of the ball with Laura Sharp. We got to hear about her new ideas and what Dustin Kearns' plan is to do with his new lineup at the Basketball Media Day.
You know, we had 6 new players last year, right? And so even though we returned a lot the previous year, we still did add 6 new people. You know, we still added some experience. You know, all 3 Division I transfers we had all started for their programs. We added a couple junior college kids, but we still value and development, and we're still going to recruit freshmen and have that balance. And so certainly in roster construction, it can't be 9 transfers or 9 freshmen, and so there's still, you know, Luke Wilson redshirted last year, and certainly we pride ourselves on development, and so we're going to continue to do some things like that. You know, when you have people like C.J. Huntley, you know, continue to be in your program. A guy that started a lot of games here, a guy that's been part of a lot of winning, that's a big deal for us. And obviously he's very talented, a very good player too, preseason all-conference. And so, you know, certainly we're expecting big things from CJ this year. And I think he's had a tremendous offseason. And, you know, I think that, you know, certainly having preseason all Sun Belt recognition he's got respect from his peers as well. So having a guy like him is very critical. And like I said, but fortunately we've been able to have some guys like that before him do it.
Now, let's talk some basketball. I'm here alongside a rookie to the A game, Isaac Edwards, who's making his first appearance on the court, and Bobby Phillips, station manager and commentator for 90.5 WASU. As we just heard, both teams are anticipating exciting seasons. What are your initial reactions from Media Day?
Yeah, I'm super excited to have Alora as our coach. I think she's very excited. Coming from Presbyterian College, they made the NCAA tournament last year and won their first 4 game. That is a huge accomplishment. I am so happy that she is excited to be here with us at App State.
Yeah, there's definitely a culture she's truly trying to build here at App State. You can tell how much she really wants everybody to gel as a team, and it seems like team chemistry is really high right now for the women's basketball team, and also for the men's is a big focus that they were talking about during Media Day. You know, CJ Huntley and Jackson Threadgill actually went to high school together, I believe, so they're pretty good friends from back then, but it seems like there's a big focus on both of these teams to get that team chemistry up, get people comfortable playing with each other. And even though both rosters look new this year or different coaching staffs, no matter what, on both of these teams, they look great.
Yeah, with the team chemistry, the thing that is super different from the women's team to the basketball team is the women's team has veterans. We have seniors, unlike we have more seniors than the men's basketball team does. So that means we have experience. We have people that have played college basketball before, and that is very good going into the season.
Yes, definitely a very controversial topic as far as just definitely so many just amazing players on the men's side of the ball not returning and transferring and entering the transfer portal. How is Dustin Kearns, Bobby, just kind of working with this? What's going through Dustin Kearns' mind when he's starting to make plans as the season's coming up?
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of questions around this roster this year, Grace Ellen. Obviously, the 2 remaining big players for App State, CJ Huntley and Miles Tate, were making a return, but also Luke Ledford and Luke Wilson also making a return. But with those players, they didn't get much playing time last year, so it might as well be almost brand new players for the team going into this year. So there's a lot of questions on how Dustin Kearns will adapt to this team because of such a big turnaround. You have 4 remaining players, but 13 new ones. That's a complete lineup overhaul for the team. Obviously, CJ Huntley and Miles Tate will probably be in the starting lineup, and one player a lot of people are talking about from Charlotte, Jackson Threadgill, making an appearance for the Mountaineers. He was sitting there at Media Day with CJ Huntley and Miles Tate. They're talking about the team chemistry, but it's really interesting to see how this team will develop. One player I'm really looking at going into this year is Jaleel Boburn. I think he has a really good opportunity to add some size and some defense and rebounding to this team, because you lose a big piece of your team with Justin Abson. He went to Georgia last year, and Trayvon Spiller. So big question is, how much defense is this team going to focus on and how much offense? I think this team going into this year will focus a lot more on three-point shooting. There's got to be a lot more offense, maybe a little bit more less on the defensive side of the ball, but definitely a lot more three-point shooting, a lot more offensive production.
Absolutely. Definitely seeing more offense production, as you just said. Isaac, with Alara Sharp, what are her coaching styles going into this new season?
I think her coaching style is just good shots. She said in her press conference she has a scorecard that she keeps every practice going from A, B, C, and D of good shots. So A being good, D being bad. She wants good shots. That's all she cares about, and she just wants to score. It might be an open three or a good bucket down the post. That's all she cares about, just good shots.
Absolutely. And with those good shots, who are some players that we should be watching out for on the women's side?
I think a big player that we need to look out is Emily Carver. She is, I think, in my opinion, the team leader. She has been here all 4 years, and being a point guard, she's gonna dish the ball. She's gonna get her shots when she needs it. She's got like a 30% three-point shooter, so she's gonna get her shots. But I think moving the ball around will be really good. Another person that I think is underrated as a guard, did not get a lot of starts last year, but will start, is Zara Porter. She is also a guard at 5'9". Also will work in the backcourt with Emily. So yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely some veterans there that we're
Yes.
seeing there. Bobby, are there any newcomers on the women's team that we should look out for?
Yeah, one player I'm really looking out for on the women's team is Sanaya Martinez. She's coming in from Northeastern Junior College, I believe is the college she came from, and she won the Regional Player of the Year, where she was on top of a whole bunch of other accolades while she was performing there. I think there's a lot, similar to the men's team, there's going to be a lot more focus on offense, as you were talking a little bit about there, Isaac. There's going to be a lot more offensive production on this team, a lot more shooting, and she's going to bring a lot of really great things to this team when it comes to that aspect. Also, we were talking a little bit about veterans. Rylan Moffitt, I'm really expecting to take a jump this year, especially offensively. I know she's talked about taking more threes on the year. That'll be really interesting. And then on top of another newcomer, Asia Ennis. She's coming in this year, and she didn't necessarily have the craziest numbers off of the stat sheet last year, but you can definitely tell that she has good chemistry with the team, and I think that's something Alara Sharp is really trying to build this year. It's not necessarily who has the biggest numbers, the biggest stats, but who can create the best shots, as you were talking about, grading those shots, who can get to the rim, who can get those wide open shots when needed. I think there's just a big focus on getting a team that gels together and can create good shots.
And for defense, I think I'm going to look at Elena Pericic. She is from Croatia. She is 6'1". She's going to be a forward. She is going to be a force in the paint, blocking shots and getting rebounds. What Alara, Coach Sharp, wants is grit. She wants grit. She wants good defense. She wants tough defense from this team.
Yes, exactly. Definitely improving more on the defensive side of the ball, where, we see the men's side evolving more on the offensive side of the ball. Going back to the men's, though, there's a lot of drama surrounding this team. Bobby, like you said, a lot of newcomers coming in. How far do we think this men's basketball team is going to go compared to its incredible season last year?
Yeah, definitely there is a lot of questions about that this year, Grace Ellen. The preseason ranking for this App State team, I believe, is 6th in the Sun Belt. Okay. I believe that this App State team is definitely capable of making possibly a 3 seed in the Sun Belt. Obviously, there's always the chance they make the push for the number 1 seed, but I think a realistic, optimistic goal for this team is to make around the 3 seed for the Sun Belt and make a deep run in the conference tournament. And who knows, once you're at that point, you can catch fire and really take the lead and possibly make an NCAA tournament, but only time will tell with something like that. But they're adding a lot of more offensive firepower to this team. Another player, Will Coble, I'm really excited to see how he'll be able to shoot beyond the arc. So I think this team has a lot of potential. It's just how Dustin Kearns is able to manage.
I do think we'll be able to go to the quarterfinals and semifinals. Unlike last year, coming off a very disappointing loss to Texas State on a buzzer beater. You hate to see that coming from this team or the past team. This new team, I think, in my opinion, is going to be able to make a push in the conference tournament.
Absolutely. And Isaac, you're a newcomer here at App State, coming in on your first year. How excited are you to
I'm
head out to
super
the
pumped to be here. Yeah, I'm from Maine, so this is so new. I'm glad I'm at a great school like Appalachian State University.
All right, guys. And thank you for watching the A Game. Stay up to date by following us on Instagram and Twitter, and stay tuned for what is to come this season on the A Game. Make sure to tune into App TV and AWN on Monday at 11:40 a.m. for live coverage of App State football's press conference. Hear what Sean Clark and our analysts have to say about the upcoming week of Mountaineer football.